This is 365 Sports, powered by Sikkim365.com. Welcome to the Triple Option. Here's your host, Paul Catalina.
Alongside Jacob Wilson. And Jacob, good to see you. I tried to get you to pinch in on Monday. We had a late sub out, but Garrett did a good job, so I'm glad I got you in this week.
That's right.
Yeah. So, Jacob, today we've got a couple things to talk about. Well, obviously, I've been enjoying getting all of our rotating co-host views on the NFL playoffs and things that are going on, and our Cowboys are out, and it's like
there is still a little bit of magic in the air in the plaplayoffs, though.
There is.
I'll say that.
But it's still, as Cowboys fans, I'm just still on the place where does it even matter that the world exists? What is this existence that we?
Yeah, and if you're a Cowboys fan, even 2 weeks after the fact, people are still dunking all over the Cowboys, over the internet.
Yeah, look, here's the deal. The best thing that's going to happen for the Cowboys whenever they win a Super Bowl again, if that does happen, I think it'll be when everything comes around. But the only thing I hope is that Stephen A. Smith, and I've never said this before because I absolutely abhor his show and everything it's wrought on the sports universe. But I do hope that he is still on the air and still talking crap about the Cowboys. And I do hope they win like they beat the Bills the first time they played the Bills.
I hope his feud with Jason Whitlock is still going on when the Cowboys win a Super Bowl because that'll put Stephen A. in a pretty low spot.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. We'll see.
That's my opinion. Nobody else's.
Yeah, but I just hope that happens. So his head explodes. I just want that to happen because here's the thing: if you listen to Stephen A. Smith at all, and I don't that much, but I do know this. The only thing he's routinely right about is the Cowboys, and they keep making him right. Everything else he's usually wrong about, but he's right about the Cowboys, and it fuels credibility in him for some reason, and they've got to stop that.
Yeah, they do. The New York Yankees are an example in baseball of an old dynasty that's won a bunch of championships, but they don't have any Stephen A. haters like that, and so it's just a take where you can just dunk on a really big fan base knowing that they're probably not going to get what they want year after year. And because the Cowboys are only the only team in sports that have a public hater on that level, it's just it's never-ending content. The Cowboys can win.
Nobody hates the Lakers like he does. Like he hates the Cowboys, right? It's just so weird. It's such a bizarre thing, and I don't even like talking about him, but it is one thing I would like if there's an option on the menu for that, I will order it for sure. Is just that way you can shut up about it. You can shut up about it. It was, as a Spurs fan, I've gotten to taste it one other time before when I once heard no team with Rasho Nesterovic is ever going to win the title. They won 3, bitch. Maybe not all with Rasho Nesterovic, but they won 1. So I want that again. I want that again.
I wanted to so bad.
Yeah. So that is how I felt. But I feel like we are 24 hours away from Jim Harbaugh being the coach of the Chargers.
Yeah.
If not less. We could find out today, tomorrow. It's coming here soon.
It wouldn't shock me if it happened during this show, and it also wouldn't shock me if it happened sometime next week because he's been interviewing with the Falcons, and there's been speculation of him with, maybe even staying at Michigan. They're, thinking about throwing a bunch of money at him to please stay and win us another title. But the Chargers does seem to be the constant that is in motion. It just hasn't officially happened yet.
Yeah, absolutely. So I he's been meeting with the Chargers again this week. So I don't know if he got down to he got down the line with the Vikings pretty far. He got down the line a little bit with the Broncos too a year ago before Sean Payton emerged as their coach, and so he's been down the road the last couple years with NFL teams. He's going, but I don't see any reason why he would go back to Michigan at this point, 3 years in a row taking NFL interviews just for what if he doesn't do it? Waiting for the right situation. He's won the national title and all that. So what is if you compare him to other coaches who have moved on to the NFL or moved on to the next level or retired, he's a national championship winning coach who will probably never coach in college again, because at 60 years old, you would think that the Chargers job is going to be the last job he has, or if it's not, it would be another NFL job.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't see him coaching for 5 years in the Chargers and going back to Michigan. I don't see him going to another college. Like, the only college I think that would have gotten him, because he would have gotten another NFL job after the 49ers, no problem, but the only college job that would have really gotten him was Michigan, his alma mater.
And he won a national title. Like, the only reason I could see him ever, making the jump back to the NFL and coming back down is if there's just a complete meltdown and something bad happens where he just desperately needs to take a lesser position. But he won a national championship at his alma mater. If he goes to the NFL, he's probably not going back. And he's probably tired of recruiting his own players and dealing with what every college coach and now, today's college football has to deal with. Go to the NFL. Why not?
Yeah, it's like, I would never call being an NFL coach an easy job. Like, it's not an easy job. It's hard. Like,
it hasn't changed quite the way of the college.
No, exactly.
Coach.
Like, but I mean, do you know what it's like to be like? And I'm not advocating for Mike McCarthy. I have no pity for the man. Like, but I still do have maybe a little bit of like understanding of. Do you know what his life is like? Like, and it's hard. Like, he does have longer off than a college coach, but being the Cowboys head coach or even Andy Reid, who's wildly successful, like trying to keep chasing that and achieving that, that's really hard. Like, it's really hard when you've got all these, like, there's 31 other teams that have pretty much the same resources to go and beat you. Like, there's no, like, that's where, like, the NFL is probably more challenging than college, because if you're Michigan, there's really only 5 teams on the level that have the resources to compete with you.
Yeah, the playing field financially is just more level in the NFL.
So in the NFL, it's like, it's harder in that regard, in that, like, if you're Michigan, like, that, like, look, I'm going to outspend Rutgers. Like, I'm going to outdo Rutgers all the time. Like, I don't have to worry about them. I have to focus on Ohio State. I have to focus on these schools in the SEC. Like, if I want to be one of the top 5, I just know where I have to do. In the NFL, like, because you have salary caps and all that, you can't just go out and be like, oh, yeah, well, I'm going to double the money the Bengals are paying. You're like, well, you can't. It's against the rules.
Yeah.
So that's why college is trying to maybe go towards something like this, because there's got to be some sort of competitive balance and separation from the haves and have-nots. But for Jim Harbaugh, like, being a college coach is an immensely harder job now. Like, it was always herding cats, right? You have a bigger roster. I mean, you have in the NFL, you have 53 in a practice squad. And college, you have 85 scholarship players and then walk-ons and coaches and a whole building that's all under you.
And they are... perspective is everything, but they are children who are not under legal contract to stay with your team past the season that they're currently on your team.
Yeah, it is hard. Like, all those things, and you have to deal with all these things. So if you can just go to the NFL and, like, look a guy in the eye and, sit down and have a beer with him without, like, going like, are you 21? And talk through your issues and work out things. Or like, hey, so-and-so is going to be a free agent at the end of the year. I'd like to have him back. All right, well, I'll tell him that, but then the general manager will work on the contract, and I'll just go think about beating the Raiders. Like, that's all they have to think about, as opposed to, I don't know that it's different for every head coach, but as opposed to, like, the head coach of, like, 17 of our guys just want to leave because they don't have enough NIL money. Like, let me go talk to this booster who now I have to, like,
a guy who I don't want to actually deal with, but yeah, I've got to give a little love.
So I got to do a little of that, to get some money out of this. It would just be better if I just went to the owner and be like, hey, do we have $45 million under the salary cap? Yeah, okay, work it out. Like,
the episode of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia where the gang tries desperately to win an award? Yeah. That's kind of what being a college football coach is like in the offseason.
Yeah, it is. You are what award are you going to try to win? And where are you going? And the calendar makes no sense. Like, in the NFL, the season ends. Your season ends, you fire coaches, you hire coaches, you talk to the scouting department, you set up your draft board, you go watch kids in shorts run, and then you have the draft, and you do it all over again. In college football, like, you're preparing for a bowl game while also trying to get high school kids to sign with you and making sure the kids don't leave. And then if kids have left your program and other programs, you're trying to talk to them and get them in there. And you might have to go to like Shreveport, Louisiana to play a bowl game, but like 2 days before you go, you have to host 10 transfers in there and be like, hey, we're going to Shreveport this year, but with your help, we could be in San Francisco. Just think about that. and then like, you just have to, it is tough. Like I admire college coaches much more than I did. But looking at Jim Harbaugh's legacy, I was thinking like it is like he's always going to have the, I don't want to call it stain or asterisk or anything. I don't really think it's that, but like the pockmark of winning the national championship in a season where you were suspended for half the regular season games. Like it's always going to be there. And
the dust hasn't really settled yet. There hasn't been any closure from that situation.
No, there's no closure from the situation. But like everybody can be holier than thou about Jim Harbaugh, and I think the Connor Stallions thing is just stupid to a level. Not that it's stupid. They shouldn't be punished for it. They should totally be punished for it. I just don't know how bad. Like I don't know. I don't know what kind of crime this is. Like if we were in court and they were trying to ask me, is this a felony? Like, is this like a 25 to life felony? Is this like a 5 to 10 year stretch felony? Like, I don't know. They'd like, if I was the prosecution, they'd like, how many years in prison are you asking for? I'd be like, why don't you tell me, Judge?
I just want probation.
That's all. Like, I don't know. Like,
it's hilarious to me, but it doesn't help the situation at Michigan that Connor Stallions is on Cameo. You can book him for $75.
Really?
Send a birthday message from Connor Stallions.
Is the birthday message from Connor Stallions like? The third one was happy birthday. So I think it is. Well, you got to make money how you can make money. How much do you think I would get on Cameo? Do you think people would buy cameos from me? Like if I charge like $25 a pop?
I think you could definitely rack up.
Like if Connor Stallions is 75.
I mean,
could I get 50?
Maybe.
Smokey could get 100. I think Smokey could get 100. Smokey could get 100. Look, I bet Craig could get 200 because he just wouldn't want to do them.
I mean,
that's a possibility.
Yeah.
I mean, if you were good at, like, I think the best cameos are the ones where you're just talking trash to people that you're gifting it to.
Yeah.
And I think you'd be great at that, Paul.
Good. Yeah. I think I need to go on. I need to get on Cameo. I need a little side hustle. I just don't know how much anybody would have pay me for a cameo. I don't want here's the thing.
Never know until you try, Paul.
You don't want to be on the list and then let's scroll to the bottom. Like you want to be somewhere in the middle there. Like I'm not going to be on the list where it's like, oh, hey, get a cameo from this person that everyone recognizes. But I'd like to just be able to put myself in the somewhere in the nebulous middle.
Yeah, I know. I've got an idea. During the first break of the show, you send Jack McKenzie a birthday gift in the form of a cameo as if you were being paid to do so. What do you think? I'm putting the host on the spot here.
Well, we only have 45 seconds in the break, so.
Well, work with what you can.
Okay.
He wouldn't be able to clean up the language for Jack, though.
No. No. Well, see, no, we may need to do that. That might be something we need to do. I'll throw out some free ones.
This is your cameo audition. I'm trying to help you boost your revenue.
So.
All I'm saying is that, that's not a great look on Jim Harbaugh's legacy.
Yeah. Golly. I got to talk to you guys about this dude in the chat room. He's driving me nuts. I appreciate him watching, but he's just driving me nuts. Anyway, but Jim Harbaugh's legacy to me, because you compare him to Barry Switzer. What's Barry Switzer's legacy, right? Barry Switzer at Oklahoma had some bad stuff that happened at Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Tom Osborne had some bad stuff. Had Lawrence Phillips. That's
most
the only
championship teams have some bad stuff going on.
Yeah, Bobby Bowden's got some bad stuff. I mean, Joe Paterno, for God's sakes,
That's really bad.
we know everything. Everybody's got varying levels of bad. Paterno's probably being the worst, and then different things that have happened, but. Everybody's got something that's gone on and that's been untoward. And so, if you compare it, if you just compare it to, I'll just compare it to, and look, I love Tom Osborne. I think he's a great coach and a good human being and all that. But I do think he made some character mistakes that I'm sure he regrets. But, Lawrence Phillips staying on that team would not happen now. It would not happen now. It would not. So, like, if you compare him keeping Lawrence Phillips on the team to Connor Stallions using his iPhone and his spy glasses to record signals, like, I mean, I think you're talking about.
Yeah, he's not the only. Connor Stallion's not the only guy in college football doing that kind of stuff. But when you get caught with your hand in the cookie jar, you can't just go pointing your finger in other directions. It's just, I mean, we know that pretty well here in Waco, Texas, don't we?
Yeah. So, yeah. But yeah, it is. You've got, like, again. Nobody's perfect. Nobody does it right. Like, a lot of coaches have hero complexes where, they think the only thing that can help is football, and you're like, well, what about therapy? And they're like, nah, football. Hey, why don't we go through the issues that this kid has and try to get him to get to his emotional core? Like, nah, I'm just going to have this violent guy hit people.
That makes all the sense in the world.
Like, here's the deal. It'll be out of his system, and then he'll go about his normal life. So I think, like, there's all that, but, like, I think when his legacy, the only thing that's going to tarnish him is all this NCAA stuff. But by the, like, stretch of most coaches, it's really not that bad, especially considering that now, like, what are we talking about? He had some recruits during COVID that was probably pretty lame. Like, all those things, but the rules are so dramatically different that how do we even judge these things anymore? Like, some of the things that happened with Barry Switzer of, like, paying players, we do that now. Like, so, like, I mean, maybe it felt like it was bad back then, but now it's just totally open.
I mean, I'll feed you a more recent, kind of more relevant example of a successful college and NFL head coach. Pete Carroll. He left USC while shit was hitting the fan, and then had some success in Seattle. Won a Super Bowl. Jim Harbaugh. I mean, he's bouncing back and forth. I think the parallels are pretty similar here.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, it's like, but again, you're not like, what are we, like, all these people we're all up in arms about Jim Harbaugh, and that's fine. I mean, you're entitled to your opinion, but let's just compare him to all of college football, and he's about par for the course, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, looking at him legitimately as a program builder and a coach, I mean, pretty damn good. Like, really, yeah. He built Stanford, went to the NFL, built the 49ers, lost in the Super Bowl to his brother. Then
conflict of personalities happen.
Yeah, those things happen. He decided to go back to Michigan. It was like a kind of a perfect storm for him. Michigan was open. He went and took it, and then he took a program in Michigan that for 25 years
an afterthought
has been average, since their last national title, and then he built them back up again. College football playoff 3 years in a row until he finally had the team that could go and win it. So to me, especially in the modern parlance of college football, like, taking Saban off the scale so that you can throw him out and grade on the true bell curve, I mean, it's pretty amazing what he's done. So, and if he stayed, he'd probably win another title sometime along the line. But he's not going to stay, and he's not done anything that makes it seem like he's trying to. I mean, so.
Yeah. And, I mean, like you mentioned, there's the program building aspect. He's done it in college and the NFL. The Chargers and, frankly, the Bears, until they committed to Eberflus, I thought that would have been a good fit. But the Chargers now, his relationship with the Spanos family out there, they've got an ailing franchise with their quarterback of the future. It just makes way too much sense. But at the same time, it doesn't always happen when you think it makes way too much sense.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, I mean, look, he could go back to Michigan, and he'll be the highest paid coach in college football, and good for him. But he's also going to go back to Michigan, and the NCAA is going to be like, well, we can't just let this stand. We have to do something. And so he's going to have to fight suspensions again. And then, like, the Big Ten, like, he also is going to go back into, because I know a lot of people don't, like, they know that the Big Ten athletic directors meet, but the coaches all meet too, and they, like, have these things. So he's going to have to go back in there with those coaches and deal with the awkwardness of, like, so guys, you guys are trying to change the rules in the middle of the season because you're mad. Mm-hmm. All right. I don't know how we feel about each other right now. So I would just, if I were him, go to the NFL where no one gives a crap.
Yeah. I mean, why stay at Michigan and basically be the Lee Harvey Oswald of college football when everyone's just pointing, he did it. But he's not the only one that did it, right? Like, yeah. I think it just makes way too much sense for him to go off to the NFL where life becomes infinitely more easy, like we've mentioned, as opposed to, staying at Michigan and dealing with all the crap that comes with being a college coach with an investigation hanging over your head.
Yeah, I mean, look, he's going to get suspended again. If you're Michigan, do you really want to go through this? And Michigan's in kind of a weird spot where they can't really take a stand like they would if they were 7-5 again. But the fans all want him back. They don't really feel he did anything wrong.
And that was my thing. Like, so when you're talking about his legacy is going to be different in different parts of the world. Like in Michigan, in Ann Arbor, he's a freaking legend.
Yeah.
So I think it's kind of a different perspective on where you're at in the country and how you view Jim Harbaugh to what his legacy will be. I think it's like in the eye of the beholder.
Yeah.
Per se.
The other thing that's going to be weird about that is Michigan's had this thing for a long time, and they've only really gone outside the circle a couple times.
Very rare.
And hiring head coaches that are not Michigan men. Like they really believe it. And they sell it to their students. Like, you're a Michigan man. Like, this is what you are. Here's what it means to be a Michigan man. And I don't again, not having gone there, I have no idea what those criteria are. But when they went outside of it and hired Rich Rodriguez, they were like, see, Michigan, you can only win here if you've gone here. Like, you only get Ann Arbor, Michigan if you spent 4 to 6 years of your life in this place. And maybe that's true because here's the other thing. He just proved it. Lloyd Carr was a Michigan man, Bo Schembechler was a Michigan man, and Jim Harbaugh's a Michigan man, and they all won titles there. True. So they're just saying, look, I know that it might be different for I know Urban Meyer didn't go to Ohio State, and I know that, Bobby Bowden didn't go to FSU, and I know that, Dabo Swinney didn't go to Clemson, but those places are different. To win here, you have to have gone to school here, and it just proves them right. It's such a weird thing.
Yeah, I mean, and Rich Rodriguez did kind of start that ripple effect of mediocrity that carries weight for that argument, and so it doesn't surprise me to see them a little gun-shy to venture outside of the Michigan State.
But Brady Hoke was a Michigan man, and he had a good first year and then just kind of tapered off, right? And then all the things that they did at Michigan, they kept hiring the wrong guy, and they were just trying to find. I really wanted Les Miles forever because Les Miles, a Michigan man. They were even look, Les Miles won somewhere else.
Bring him home.
Yeah, he went to Michigan and he can win everywhere. So let's try to get him back. But at the time, Michigan was not a better job than LSU. No. And look, Les Miles would probably still be at LSU if not for
or at Kansas if he wouldn't have been an idiot.
Yeah, all the other stupid things he did. But so
Garrett's just smiling because Les Miles was mentioned, and he's wearing his LSU Tiger garb too.
Yeah.
Gotta eat the grass, man.
I don't even know if you realize you're smiling.
Always smiling. LSU's involved. I'm always smiling.
Yeah, but there are. It's just he will have I'm sure in the modern view a complicated legacy like Garrett said. Ohio State's always going to be he cheated, and they're I beat you 3 times.
Exactly. That's all that matters.
So
guess who has another complicated history of college and NFL coaches, guys who did both? Jimmy Johnson, the U. Did anyone that ever coached at the U have a completely clean record?
No. Look, the lines on the end zone could have been cocaine at the U. I mean,
probably were.
Are the lines on the end zone cocaine? Yes. Are we winning? Yes. Well, then keep snorting that line, son.
Good deal. If you get there, go ahead and do it. Look, the Cowboys. They had a lot of discipline within winning football games, but personal discipline outside of that they were not well known for.
Yeah, it was reckless abandon, and they were winning Super Bowl championships.
So, but yeah, I don't know. I just there's always complicated histories, and you have to kind of look at everything, all together. We'll call it the Washington Jefferson quotient, right? Washington Jefferson, were founding fathers of this country. They had a lot of great ideas about what democracy should be and how the government should be run and all this other stuff, but they also had slaves. So, again, po buddy's nerfed. Everybody's got a thing. And I'm not comparing spying on a college football team to having slaves. I'm just saying that, everybody's got a complicated history.
Garrett, what's your thing? I want to know.
I don't know. I'm not revealing any secrets.
Yeah. Garrett leaves the shopping cart just in a parking space. That's what he does.
I actually hate people that do that.
Yeah, I know.
I despise people that do that.
Yeah. You know what the worst is? I saw somebody the other day, and they just got in their car and zipped off. But it was the same day I was at HEB where I got in the tussle with the goth girl. With the goth girl. And while I was unloading, I put my bags in the car and driving away, and I just saw somebody who was right next to the cart roundup. Like, their spot was right next to the cart roundup. They just put the cart in their, like, up at the front of their spot because they would have had to, go. It was at the front. They would have had to, go back around.
They should be slapped.
Right there. And I was like, come on. Like, it's not like you were all the way over here and had a limp or something. You just...
I mean, it doesn't matter who you are. I think 90% of people in the entire world, you deduct at least 20 IQ points when they're in a parking lot. For some reason, they just think that it's a place where you can be dumber than you are if you're not in a parking lot.
Yeah. Walk like there's not cars coming in both directions at you.
And maybe I'm a little cynical because I lived in Hawaii for 4 years of my life, and I know how people are on vacation brain. I think parking lot brain is the exact same thing. You move slower. You're less cognizant of other people for some reason.
Yeah. Here's the other thing about and I get you being in Hawaii, the people who you're seeing also have not seen, they've not looked at traffic for a little bit. So a parking lot gets a little confusing to them because you've been looking this way where there's no cars. And then you're all day long, no car, you're not really going anywhere. And then you might get in a car and you're like, oh, what's this? Car? Sorry, all I was doing was beach. That's what I was doing. All right, when we come back, let's talk about NFL playoffs. I think we can agree Jim Harbaugh will have a complicated legacy, but he returned Michigan to the elite, and therefore
that's all that matters.
Yeah, look, he's a college football Hall of Famer now. Put him there as a coach. College football Hall of Famer, Jim Harbaugh. Yep. Let's talk NFL playoffs when we come back, Jacob. There's some really interesting things that can happen this weekend and a lot of different permutations. And it is weird to me that the Chiefs have now crossed over into that team that everyone's tired of, when at the beginning they were like, oh, look at Andy Reid and his mustache.
It's going to happen eventually if you keep winning.
It does. If you keep winning and you keep winning like they do, it's going to keep happening. All right. That's going to do it for this segment. We'll be back in a second. This is 365 Sports.
If your business is like most, you need things done quickly. But if you're still tying your critical applications together on multiple shared public networks, you've probably been feeling the slowdown. And that's no good for business. A private UPN fiber network can get you and your business moving at the speed of light. Whatever you need, we can build it. Internet, Metro Ethernet, Waves, dark fiber. We deliver custom private networks and are focused on business customers only. Our next generation 100% fiber optic infrastructure offers you low latency and ultra scalable bandwidth with speeds up to 100 gigabit to run your critical applications. Your connection won't be limiting your performance anymore. It's diverse and scalable, so it can grow and change as your business grows and changes. And with a secure carrier-grade private network, you'll have all the reliability you need. Contact UPN today to learn more. Fast just got faster.
This is 365 Sports, powered by Sikkim365.com. Welcome to the Triple Option. Here's your host, Paul Catalina.
Welcome back, Paul Catalina and Jacob Wilson here on 365 Sports, the Triple Option. And it is NFL playoff weekend, or championship weekend. And the Chiefs, nobody outside of Kansas City wants them to win. I will be in Kansas City and Lawrence, Kansas next week, by the way. We're not going to have a show on Thursday next week, just letting you guys know because I'll be traveling. I'm going to the Kansas-Houston game next week at the Fog with my wife and my brother-in-law and his fiance. And so one of us will be normal. But you know what's going to feel weird?
Have you been to the Fog?
No, I've never been to the Fog. I can't wait to go. I just saw an Instagram of Jay Billis talking about like the 5 best stadiums. It was a tie number 1 of Cameron Indoor, obviously where he played, and the Fog.
Yeah, that sounds biased.
I mean,
it does, but like the way he said it was like, look, there's just something different about them, about the buildings and the history and all that you go into. And
Roy Williams, legendary North Carolina coach, when he was the coach at Kansas, he went to North Carolina and in a documentary said, "There's nothing like the Fog."
Yeah, nothing like it. Yeah, exactly. So there's nothing. It's one of those places, and so it's like a bucket list trip for me. obviously Amanda and Rami are huge Kansas fans, and they can't wait to go. I just hope that all I hope for in my life is Kansas winning games so I don't have an angry wife. That's all I hope for.
Hey, well, at least you're going to a home game, not an away game where they're absolute trash this year.
Rami has come here the last few years since Amanda's been here and gone to the Baylor-Kansas game, and every time that Rami's been here, Baylor's won. So now we're taking that out of the equation, but they're going to be playing a team that by next week might still be the number one team in the country in Houston. So we'll see, but Bill Self's record against teams in the top 10 in Lawrence is
impeccable.
It's almost spotless. I think he's got a loss. If you roll in there and you're ranked higher than him into the Fog, well, this is where you learn.
Might be in trouble because the fans definitely get turned in that arena.
Yeah. Jay Billis was fun. His famous quote about the Fog though was Allen Fieldhouse is not a particularly hard place to play, except they make you play Kansas when you go there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can't wait to do that. I'm excited. So I don't know. Our seats, I believe, are behind the basket a little ways up. So Rami picked them. I said, go get where you want to sit. I'll be wherever. So I do think it's important for people in our business, and I don't want this to sound snobby at all, but I do think it's important for us to go and sit in the stands and go to a game recreationally as opposed to sit in the press box and do your job. You gotta
be a fan, enjoy it.
Be a fan and enjoy it because you can get really cynical doing this. And I've been at that point in my life where I'm just you're just mad about everything. You've got 2016 was not a great year for me about sports in general. I did not, because of everything that was going on here and all this stuff. So you get really cynical because you're nothing's good. Mm-hmm. There's no sunshine in the world. And
as great as it is, it becomes a job at some point.
Yeah.
You gotta let it be fun.
So you see all the bad stuff. And you don't see all amazing fun stuff like this about this stupid bullshit fake job that we have. It's not even, there's way worse things we could be doing in this world. And we have this great job. And sometimes you do need to go sit your ass in a seat to really appreciate this is fun. This is being here with, I remember the last time I went to an FSU game in Tallahassee, my friends were like, are you enjoying this at all? You're just kind of watching and standing there, and you used to be the dude who was wrecking shop here. And I was like, I just have gotten so used to just watching games and,
Yeah, it helps to pinch yourself a little bit.
Yeah,
and realize where you are.
Yeah. They're like, we need to go find the frat guys who smuggled in moonshine and pour some into you so we get old Paul back?
No, that same thing happened to me. I went to the Cowboys Raiders Thanksgiving game a couple of years ago.
So did I.
And I was just sitting there and I'm enjoying the game, and everybody around me is like, are you not? I'm like, it's a football game. I'm having fun, but you just get programmed because you're not supposed to cheer, and you just have to look at it from a different perspective. But yeah, you got to take appreciation of it and just embrace the moment, become a fan.
Channel your inner Jason Kelsey, if you will.
Exactly.
Why not?
Yes. Wild animal.
Yeah, no, that's what I would like to do.
Thank you for the segue, Jacob.
Yeah, no, thank you. Thank you. But no, I was at that game as well. I had fun until the fourth quarter, and then when the Raiders fans kind of took over in the section I was sitting, and I was there with Amanda and my mom, and it was just I'm sorry, ladies. I didn't know that you could put those two particular curse words together. Doesn't seem to make sense, but all right. Sorry you had to hear those things.
Yeah, that's a tough franchise to lose to in person.
Yeah, outside of a Def Jam comedy show. But anyway, so Detroit has America's support this week because I think everybody's excited. The other three teams in the playoffs have won multiple Super Bowls. The 49ers obviously have the most of them. The Ravens have two. The Chiefs have three now and two with Patrick Mahomes. And, Mahomes just keeps finding a way. But, I would think it would be amazing. If we get a Detroit Lions winning the Super Bowl, that would be just amazing for America. Yeah. It means that anybody can do anything.
Yeah, I was telling everybody last week, Bills Lions is the Super Bowl matchup that America deserves. But now that the Bills, lost like they always do to the Chiefs in the playoffs, I think it adds even more, mystical enjoyment and just excitement over Detroit being there and actually being a contender to win a Super Bowl, the very first one, because they haven't been here in the NFC Championship game. I think the year I was born, I think that was the last time that they did it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So 1991 was the last time they were in the championship game. They lost to the Redskins. And Mark Rippon, which was the last good year for the Lions and for Washington.
Yes, don't remind me.
So, yeah, I remember that. Like, the Cowboys lost in 91 to the Lions in the early part of the playoffs. And that was like, this team's about to be really good. And then, like, they lost that playoff game, and then they didn't lose to anybody but the 49ers for a few years. And then that was kind of the jockeying point in the NFC. But yeah, so it's been a long time. I mean, like there's been documentaries made about everything that's gone on in the NFL like 5 times over since then. Maybe it's about the Barry Run documentary. Like finally got them loose and people appreciating things again. Have you seen it?
It's fantastic.
It's really good. It's really good to finally hear what he said. But yeah, I think it's awesome. It's awesome to like look on the sidelines and see guys like Herman Moore. Like, holy cow!
And when you've got Eminem, maybe the coolest white person America has ever made. If you've got that guy endorsing your product, it's a really attractive product. But unfortunately, the Lions haven't been, worth his public endorsement, even though he's a lifelong fan. Yeah. But it gets everyone juiced up when it's like, oh, Eminem's on this team right now. He's all in on Jared Goff and Dan Campbell. Let's go.
Here's the deal. All right, Garrett, I'll ask you this. Mm-hmm. Let's rank the teams by the best rapper from their city.
Oh, that's a good one.
Okay, so...
in the playoffs?
In the playoffs, the 4 teams that are there now. Because I think if you do that, and no offense to anybody from San Francisco, Baltimore, or Kansas City, Eminem's going to win that contest.
I don't know, man. If you look at San Francisco, you got E40, man. You got MC8. Like, I don't know. That's a tough one. I need to think on that. But I think Detroit I'll put Detroit and San Francisco about side by side.
Okay, Detroit and San Francisco side by side. Baltimore?
You would think they'd have some good rappers out
I would have Baltimore. No. I mean, you have what's her name? Jada Pinkett's from Baltimore. I don't know if
that's not
counts. Good. But no, I wouldn't put Baltimore
arguing
up there.
against their case there, Garrett.
Yeah,
I know.
No, I'm looking, and I mean, it's.
I don't think Baltimore would fit.
No, they've got a lot of people who you'd like see, you would see the main artist plus these 3 guys. I'm looking at them right now.
And then Kansas City, nah.
Come on, it's Kansas City.
There's no
stuff ran gritty.
Yeah.
In the summertime, the girls be damn pretty. Then to the projects, down to the Ville. Then it made a deal with Travis and Made Mills. Come on.
I know.
I mean, Hood Go Crazy. That's like 4 of them.
I think I would still have to go with San Francisco on that one, though. Detroit would be a close second, but I'd have to ride with the Bay.
Yeah, I mean, 2 Chainz, B.O.B., and Tech 9, all from Kansas City. So that's a good, second tier, right?
It is.
Well, it's a good second tier.
It is. I like that, though. But I think I'd have to ride with the Bay. I'd have to go with San Francisco. They got too much. Yeah.
I wonder how many people are surprised I know the lyrics to Hood Go Crazy like that.
Learn jump right.
Paul was once a young man. Come on.
Yeah. When you way drunk off the yak, spit it up, spit it up, spit it up. I know it. I know. So some of the stuff as much as I don't care what I say on this show, I'm not going to say some of those lyrics.
Yeah, let's not.
It would probably not go over well. But anyhow, but yeah, no, but having Eminem. The other thing, you know who else Detroit has as a super fan? That's not a rapper at all.
I mean, Tim Robinson.
Tim Robinson and Sam Richardson. But I was going to say, Harry himself. Jeff Daniels.
Oh, Jeff Daniels, you're right.
Yeah. So, there's famous 49ers fans and Chiefs fans. Chiefs have Henry Winkler. That's a pretty big deal.
But none of those, all of those fans have witnessed the joy of a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
These fans from Detroit have not.
No, they have not. Absolutely have not. And Eminem's been hilarious. Like every time you see him doing a video about it, he's been hilarious. Like, Matt Stafford, you owe me this. You owe me. I rep for you all this time. You owe me. But yeah, no, I do hope like it's just going to be really tough because the thing of the 49ers is even if Deebo Samuel doesn't play. And I do have a feeling he's gonna strap it up and try to go, and we'll see how that works out for him. But they still have Christian McCaffrey and Brandon Ayuk, and this really good offensive line and Kittle, and the defense is vicious. Yeah. Fred Warner's like everybody can say that like Christian McCaffrey is probably the best player on the team and blah blah blah, but Fred Warner's the engine of the 49ers. Like he is the attitude of the 49ers. He's their heart and soul, and like not to mention. Bosa and Young and that whole defensive line they've got, like they're just built really well and they have really good coaches. So it's going to be tough for Dan Campbell, but I do think he has the majority of America rooting for him.
Oh, no doubt. I mean, I think that ultimately it's going to be about if they can get pressure on Brock Purdy because. I mean, Brock Purdy, he can be rattled, but if you let him get in a groove, he can just be the guy that puts the ball in the hands of his playmakers. And if there's one thing Detroit has going against it is that they've got holes in their secondary. And so I think Aiden Hutchinson, if there was ever a game for him to have the game of his life, it's right about now. And get in Brock Purdy's face and force San Francisco to do some stuff that they're not accustomed to doing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true. Like it's going to be really physical. It's going to be really, really physical. I think Dan Campbell's probably looking forward to it a lot. And for the other game, like you got two of the best quarterbacks going right now, going to each other.
Lamar.
And Lamar's having this MVP. He's going to be the MVP and should be totally bet on himself and, kind of dared the Ravens to get rid of him and nobody bit. And all these other teams could have had him if they wanted to make a trade and they decided against it because,
yeah, I mean,
they wouldn't have really been putting themselves in a good situation necessarily salary cap wise.
If the timelines had matched up, I bet Ted Bundy would have been like, "Hey, how did you represent yourself and get what you wanted?"
I mean, he just did. He bet on himself, got pretty much everything. He didn't get the full Deshaun Watson contract though, because that's what he wanted. And then eventually had to go into okay, what's in the middle of the stupidest contract ever given to an athlete in history and reasonable. And what's fair market value for a better play. The thing, and I'm sure that 31 teams were furious at the Browns for doing that. They're like, you guys do know that we have better quarterbacks than you do, and you just wrecked the market for us.
Totally ruined it, yeah.
And that was just the Browns doing Browns things. The Browns just happened to have finally gotten a coach who is a very good coach.
Yeah.
That's the only reason why they're not where we're used to seeing them down at the basement. But that was just the Browns doing Browns things.
Yeah. Yeah. Here they go to make the playoffs with Joe Flacco this year, and makes Deshaun Watson look expendable, but impossible to move. So, you can make the playoffs, Browns, with quarter. You did it with Baker Mayfield. Now he's done it with another team, so maybe he could have made it work with that guy a little bit more. I don't know.
I mean, you just got to keep him healthy and off the massage table.
Yeah. So, anyhow, Paxton said, nobody's talking about how good Goff is, but Goff's been great. He's been fantastic. That's the rare trade that works out for both sides. Stafford goes to L.A., wins the Super Bowl. Goff goes to Detroit, a place where they were initially going to be like, all right, we're just going to burn these last couple of years of his contract, and he'll help us transition. And then then had a staff that really just bought into him, and they bought into each other and made it work.
Yeah, I thought and still kind of think now that the Lions won that trade, even though the Rams have a Super Bowl as a result. And I just think that because I thought they paid way too much for Matthew Stafford. The amount of draft picks that they got and the players that they added in that trade in the way of draft picks, the Lions, that was their Herschel Walker trade as of right now. If they can win a Super Bowl or two and have some long-term success, that would prove the point even further. But at the same time, the Rams, they mortgaged their future and only had one bad year.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, absolutely. So I'm interested to see how this all breaks down this week. I think Baltimore's going to win. I think that they're at home. They've never played an NFC Championship game.
Yeah, that's weird.
At home, the two Super Bowls they've been to, they won both those games on the road. I think the bank's going to be lit up. I know that Ronnie the Raven's going to be there.
It's a low underappreciated atmosphere there in Baltimore.
Yeah.
I've been there when they played the Broncos in 2018, and it's a really, really good crowd.
Yeah. So that's good. So, do you watch Stavy's like Ronnie the Raven videos? You know who I'm talking about?
Stavros?
Yeah.
I haven't seen him. I know he's all in on Joe Flacco, but that's just him needing to let his boyhood quarterback go.
Yeah, but no, his stuff's pretty funny. Like, and the Ravens have totally embraced it too. Like they have him there doing videos like from the tunnel, things like that with gear on. So it's pretty impressive. When we come back, let's talk a little about the Big 12 basketball weekend that's coming up. There's going to be some good games. Some teams need to bounce back. We'll do that to wrap up the show. This is the Triple Option on 365 Sports.
If your business is like most, you need things done quickly. But if you're still tying your critical applications together on multiple shared public networks, you've probably been feeling the slowdown. And that's no good for business. A private UPN fiber network can get you and your business moving at the speed of light. Whatever you need, we can build it. Internet, Metro Ethernet, Waves, dark fiber. We deliver custom private networks and are focused on business customers only. Our next generation 100% fiber optic infrastructure offers you low latency and ultra scalable bandwidth with speeds up to 100 gigabit to run your critical applications. Your connection won't be limiting your performance anymore. It's diverse and scalable, so it can grow and change as your business grows and changes. And with a secure carrier-grade private network, you'll have all the reliability you need. Contact UPN today to learn more. Fast just got faster.
This is 365 Sports, powered by Sikkim365.com. Welcome to the Triple Option. Here's your host, Paul Catalina.
Usually Jacob gets my references.
Yes.
I just made a reference that Jacob didn't get. I'm curious if you got, I know Jack would never even get it.
What you got?
But the Never-Ending Story. Do you remember that movie?
Yes, I've seen it. Yeah, the flying dog where you're on. Yes.
Yes. Yeah. It is. It's a movie.
Well, he was born in 91. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, but I mean, like, it's a movie made for children by people who were dropping
Tripping balls.
crazy ass.
like
it is. You know, you watch it when you're a kid and you're like, oh, this is fantastical and weird and it's good. Like, kids love it. Like, everybody our age loved it. But, like, as you get older, you're like, oh, my God, what in the world were you on when you thought this up? And then had the wherewithal to remember it when you came down to write it down into a script and make it into a story.
I mean, that's how a lot of music gets made, so it doesn't really surprise me.
Yeah, but it's still like, you know, some of this stuff, man, you're like, all right, that's really weird that they came up with this and remembered it.
Imagination.
Yeah. With fuel. So, anyhow, all right, Big 12 basketball this weekend. This is just proven out this year to be an even – like, he's even better than I thought it was going to be because I thought the new teams outside of Houston would be like, oh, they'll be cute. You know, they'll be fine. They'll have a couple wins here and there. But UCF and Cincinnati and BYU, also really good. Like, all of them have been good. You know, Cincinnati's probably the fourth in those, but UCF's got wins over Texas and Kansas, and BYU's in the top 15. And, you know, of course, I mean, we knew Houston was going to be good. That was not a surprise. But yeah, for all those teams to be really excellent is something else. And it just adds more to the conference that's getting Arizona next year. And Arizona State, who's not a bad team either. I think they're first in the Pac-12 right now. But, look, tell me where West Virginia and Oklahoma State is kind of a meh game.
Yeah.
But West Virginia just had the big one over Kansas, but Oklahoma State's struggling right now.
Yeah, West Virginia got set back in their place last night by UCF, too.
Yeah, they did. But, yeah, that one's kind of the Met game. But, look, the day starts out with Kansas State and Houston. So
Kansas State and I thought it was Iowa State, no?
Iowa State plays Kansas.
Kansas State and Iowa State's tonight.
Yeah, I'm talking about Saturday. Yeah, Kansas State and Iowa State's tonight. Yes. So Kansas State and Iowa State tonight, and then each of those teams has to play Houston and Kansas on Saturday. So, yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
Sorry about that. I completely jumped over a Wednesday night in college basketball with one really good game in Kansas State and Iowa State in Ames. But after that, Kansas State plays Houston, then Kansas and Iowa State in Ames. So back-to-back games against good teams in Ames for the Cyclones. So that's a nice little advantage they have there. Tech on the road. Tech's been playing great under Grant McCaslin. Oklahoma, number 11 in the country, also playing great. Texas at BYU. Texas
beat Oklahoma
last night. They're playing confident again. Can you imagine, like, maybe what the discourse would be about Rodney Terry had he just kept his mouth shut after the UCF game?
It would have been a lot easier and a lot simpler on everybody in Austin.
Yeah.
Especially with bouncing back and getting the win against Baylor the way you did. If you would have shut up and not done none of that, then, yeah, it would never been a distraction.
Yeah. So, and then TCU's here at Baylor. TCU not ranked, but still really good. And then UCF and Cincinnati, both good teams. UCF, like you said, just put West Virginia back down to earth. Although it's hard, like, if you go through teams that upset Kansas and then their next game, it's rare that, like, the next one goes as well.
I think that goes back to, like, my philosophy on football when you played Alabama. Like, if you played Alabama the week before, 9 times out of 10, you were going to struggle the next week out. It's
even if you won.
It's the exact same thing because you put so much effort into beating this prominent program.
Yeah. So, Bracket Cat says it's okay. We're used to being overlooked. And look, I think that Kansas State just lacks right now, and partly because he's at Memphis, but they're lacking that big-time score. Their offense isn't as good, but they're still a really good defensive team. They've got an excellent, wonderful coach. And Houston, just good at everything right now. So, number 4 in the country. So,
I mean, every single game for Big 12 matchups, it's it's a tournament game because they're all such good teams. Like, I'd go as far to venture that the Big 12 basketball as a conference, that is the deepest conference in any college sport right now.
I think so. Like, it is,
That's right, SEC football fans.
No, look, here's the thing about, there are, like, even going to, look, Kansas just found out that, like, even in an uneven year for West Virginia, going to Morgantown is still a really hard thing to do. And even though Oklahoma State hasn't won, I don't think people are really excited to go play in Stillwater.
Boynton's a hell of a coach.
Yeah, Boykin's a good coach. They just don't, like, and he's like, I feel bad for Oklahoma State and for Boykin because I think, like, Mike Boykin's going to figure it out somewhere else. Like, he's going to probably he'll wind up with a mid-major job. He'll be in the tournament. He'll be in, like, the Sweet 16. And Oklahoma State's going to be like, damn it, we had Mike Boykin and Cade Cunningham at the same time and did nothing.
Well, I think that's the NCAA's fault. The NCAA killed all the momentum that Oklahoma State and Boynton had built and let Kansas just run off like nothing happened. And then they've never been able to bounce back.
Hold on, what am I supposed to say to that? Nothing did happen.
Okay.
Is that right? I don't know. Just make sure that I've, like, fulfilled my legal requirement as the spouse of Amanda. It was in our vows. No, but I mean, like, it is, like, you have to look across the conference and, like, a team that was involved in the same thing, ultimately, gets punished nothing for something you lost the postseason for, which, again, the coach was gone. Like, there was just they had to say something about someone, and then, like, we're just going to let Oklahoma State suffer here.
Yeah.
Which is how, like, you're going to see teams that are getting punished by NIL, like, come to these agreements because they're like, look, we just want to get this over with. Like, there's not really rules, but you guys are saying there's rules. So, like, we understand that we broke those. So, like, fine, we'll do whatever you want. Just please leave us alone. That's what's going to happen at Florida is probably what just happened at FSU, where they're going to get down to it like, okay, yes, nobody understands these rules. They don't make any sense. But since they are rules and we did agree to them, like, all right, what do you got for me? Let's just move on. Let's pretend like you guys still own this place. You're still in charge. Everybody's afraid of you. Yeah, ooh. Big bad wolf, So, like, that's how that goes. So, I feel bad for them. But going back to just the way that this, like, every week that this conference is going to go, like, it's going to just move around the board. It's going to be nuts. I mean, for
up, down, around, sideways, and in effing circles, just like Matthew McConaughey said in Wolf of Wall Street.
Yeah. Nobody. It's not on the elemental chart.
It's not real.
There was I want y'all's opinion on this. There was something last night that hit me. I was watching BYU and Houston play. And have y'all seen BYU play this year?
Yeah.
Okay. Is Ali Khalifa the most deceptive athlete in the Big 12? Like, if you look at him, He looks like he is not athletic at all, and then he moves and stuff, and it's like, how the hell are you doing that?
So you know who, like, differently, obviously, because they're not the same type of player.
Yeah.
But that's what I used to think about Dessou.
I can see that.
Like, you look at Dessou at Texas, and it's like, he looks, honestly, like he looks like a giraffe. Like, he's spindly and, doesn't look like he can move all that well, and his posture's not as good as it could be. I mean, he's just super tall, and, like, his arm, like, even for a tall guy, his arms look too long for his body, like, all of these things. But then the dude plays, and he's crazy athletic. It's like he's wearing, like, some sort of, like, costume. Like, I'm going to be big, awkward center. Like, that's the Halloween costume. And they're like, oh, he came as big, awkward center. Like, I wonder if he's really a big, awkward center. He's not. He's, like, super athletic and one of the best players in the league. And that. So, yeah, I kind of, like, there are guys who just look like that.
He was just so, like, watching him, it was just so deceptive with his athleticism. I thought that was really intriguing.
Look, for our Oklahoma State fans, I'll throw one from way back, Big Country Reeves.
Oh, yeah.
Big Country, like, honestly, like everybody else, like the pregame meals, like eating protein and salad and stuff like that. And he's like, no, biscuits and gravy, 12 of them right here. Don't skimp on the gravy either. Like, that was what he looked like. Yeah, he was, and there he was, like, doing it. But yeah, there's those dudes that don't look. Look, I don't think Zach Edey looks all that athletic either.
No, not at all. Not at all. That's another good one.
Yeah, he just, yeah, he doesn't, and then he's super athletic. So you don't, like, again, it tells you not to judge a book by its cover, because I remember the first time I saw Dessou, like, run out on the floor for Texas, and I'm like, all right.
That'll work.
That'll work. All right, this guy's going to get mashed. And then, like, oh, he hit a three? Well, that's weird. Maybe that's just, like, one weird skill that he's got. Like, everybody's got one thing, and then you never see them play. And, like, oh, he just got, like, 6 rebounds in the first half. Like, what do you know about that? Like, oh, look at that pass. Like, he passes. Like, oh, he's not really slow for a guy who's big and awkward. That's weird.
Yeah, I mean, basketball does sprinkle at least, a couple of guys in there every single year that you don't expect to, do what they don't look like they're capable of doing.
Yeah, no, I absolutely. Dylan Dessou, I'm always kind of in awe of how good he is, and he's been hurt for a good chunk of the year too. So that can also, kind of explain away some of Texas's losses. Is like, you don't have that guy who is. Again, he's not the best player. He's the thing. He's not the best player on their team either. No. I mean, they've got Asmus and Dylan Mitchell and Tyrese Hunter and guys like that. But, like, he's the X factor on their team. Definitely. So, but they're like, you start to wonder, like, maybe are there woes behind them after that UCF game? Like, have they found who they're going to be? Because that roster is too good not to be, a pretty highly seeded NCAA tournament team.
Exactly.
Yeah, there should be just two.
I know we're about to be done, but what if you had to guess today? I mean, other than, like, maybe Cincinnati and, other than Cincinnati, it's the only team I can think of. Who gets left out of the tournament? Because it's got to be plenty of teams. There's 14 schools here.
Well, yeah. Like, Oklahoma State's not going to make it. West Virginia's not going to make it. Cincinnati's probably on the outside looking in. But right now, like, you could get 9 to 10 of the 14 in. It depends on how somebody's gonna catch a losing streak and be out of this thing, eventually. But, the winner of the conference is probably gonna have 4 or 5 losses, you would think, this year, because it is like, you add in again, you're already a tough conference where you couldn't go on the road, and, like, there was not. Yeah. That's the difference between, like, SEC football, as good as it is, like, it's not top to bottom scary. It's just top to upper middle scary.
Yeah.
And then, like, Big 12 basketball is pretty much top to bottom scary. There's just nowhere you can go and expect to like, just have a gimme game.
Yeah. SEC goes from don't even think about it, it's Georgia, Alabama, to look over your shoulder, it's LSU, Ole Miss, and then anyone's bet after that.
Yeah. And, like, there are places like, I know it's tough to play at Kyle Field. I know it's tough to play at some of these other places, but, like, there's not, like, hundreds of years of history of, like, or hundreds of years, but, like, 100 years of history of beating people down.
Yeah.
So, like, that's the other thing. It's like, wow, it's really loud here and these people are organized, but, they've done nothing recently to scare me.
Yeah.
So Like, oh.
I mean, and like the standings right now are not exactly indicative of where we think these teams should be ranked, right?
No, I mean, they're not like
Texas Tech and Kansas State sit on the top.
Yeah, again, like, and so that's all. And like Kansas State's 4-1 in the league, not even ranked right now, because you can't like. I guess like you're voting, you can't like. Well, we just can't put all
14.
We
of them
can't
in.
put 10 of them in. Like we can't. There's got to be other teams. that
BYU
go
will
through.
drop out this week with their loss, and then Kansas State will pop in. Just rotate them.
Yeah, they will. That's like SEC
Yeah,
in football.
exactly.
Like, okay, well, Missouri's in this week and Kentucky's out. All right, there we go. That's kind of how it goes. Jacob, thanks for hopping on today. We'll see you again very soon.
Yeah, I'm going to pay you for a cameo for me since you didn't do it for Jack today.
Okay. we gotta build my cameo profile though. We gotta build it and see like if people actually want me to do cameos.
I do charge commission, but I'll be happy to help you get that started.
There we go. Yeah, I'll get you right on that. All right. This is the Triple Option on 365 Sports.
If your business is like most, you need things done quickly. But if you're still tying your critical applications together on multiple shared public networks, you've probably been feeling the